particular chapter, we were discussing some of the terms like domains, attributes, tuples, relation, and also we have come across the properties of what the relation, right? Yes, or with the tuples. So in today's session, we'll discuss more about the domain constraints. Okay, we all are familiar with the term constraints, right? Before I discuss with the actual concept, let me give you the meaning of the term constraints. Constraints are nothing but certain rules or the restrictions, what we say. Okay, for example, the student roll number. I am adding or I want to add a rule. I want to add a constraint. I want to add a restriction for that particular roll number. What is that constraint? That is, a roll number can be a combination of alphabet and digits, or a roll number has to be numbers only, of type numbers only. Okay, and the roll number of one student should not be same with another student. Each student should have a unique roll number. These are the rules what I add for a particular attribute. Are you all understanding? So relation means what? The alternative name for a table or an entity, right? Yes. So relational model constraints and relational database schemas. So we know the schema representation of a relation, right? Like a student relation, and whatever the attributes are associated to that student relation is represented in the schema structure, right? You hope, I have explained this particular representation in the initial what chapters. Fine. Let us understand more about the term constraints. Constraints on databases can generally be divided into three main categories. So it is actually classified into how many? Three categories. Like constraints can be added to a relation, okay, in three various ways. Okay, so let us understand what are those different ways. The first one, constraints that are inherent in the data model. We call these inherent data model or inherent model based constraints or implicit constraints. What do you mean by the term inherent? I think now you are familiar with this term by the C++ subject, right? So inherent means what? Getting the features from superclass, right? So what a new class we are creating, and that new class is getting or is actually getting the properties of already existing class. For example, you people have inherited few features of your parents, right? Either the physical look it could be, or some of the characteristics of yourself may resemble what? Your parents. So that is what inherent property. So constraints which are inherent in the data model, or some properties which are by default, we refer it as what? Inherent model based constraints or implicit constraints. Okay, so it is something like the restrictions may not be explicitly told. Instead, the restriction is by default. The value of that particular attribute by default is what? Carrying certain constraints. That is what you mean by inherent model based constraints or implicit constraints. Another way, or the second classification, constraints that can be directly expressed in schemas of the data model, typically by specifying them in the data definition language. And we call these schema based constraints or explicit constraints. So just now I told the example of schema representation, like how we represent the student model. Okay, like the student relation with five properties like the roll number or the SSN, student SSN number or roll number. Okay, then the age factor. Okay, the class, major. Okay, so these may be certain things like, and date of birth. Okay, these are certain attributes for a student relation, then explicitly if we are adding certain rules for that those attributes, we call it as what? Explicit constraints. In the schema model, while representing the schema, if we are adding, if we are expressing certain rules in the data model, then we call it as what? Explicit constraints. Okay, so for example, just now what I spoke with the inherent property, certain features of yours are being inherited from your parents. It is by default. So it is what? It is not that you have to cultivate such features or characteristics. Instead, by default, you are carrying certain features, the way you smile or the way you speak may be resembling your parents. Okay, so that is what? Implicitly you're carrying the features. Explicit means what? For example, if you are very much impressed with certain other things, and if you want to learn it, and if you want to cultivate to yourself, if you want to exhibit certain features which you are being motivated by seeing others, so explicitly you're trying to gain or add that feature to you. That is what? Explicit constraints. Okay, so if we are adding a new rule to a attribute. Then what about the third category? Constraints that cannot be directly expressed in the schemas of the data model and hence must be expressed and enforced by the application programs, and we call these application based or semantic constraints or business rules. So there are certain other restrictions or rules where we cannot add explicitly, like the way the second way just now told. So certain restrictions or rules has to be programmed in certain application, through certain application programs, like through coding. Okay, so such type of adding the rules, we call it as what? Application based or semantic constraints or business rules. Okay, so don't uh, burden yourself in understanding the which one meaning of these three in this particular slide, because if it is sufficient for you to now remember the three way which one categories. One is implicit constraints, another one is explicit constraints, and third one is what? Application based constraints. Like this, if you remember, it is enough. From now onwards, I'll be taking up one by one with the example so that you can easily follow. Okay, so domain constraints. So you know the meaning of a domain, right? What is that domain? Yes, student is a relation, and in a student relation you have many rows, and rows are given with what names? Tuples, right? And in each tuple you are finding certain columns, right? There are some, if there are some 5 columns or some 6 columns or 7 columns, according to our student relation example, we had 7 columns, 7 attributes, right? So the attributes, 7 attributes, attribute 1, 2, attribute 3, attribute 4, these are all what? With the which one? Domain, right? Yes, domain constraints specify that within each tuple, the value of each attribute A must be an atomic value from the domain A. That is, whichever the tuple you visit, in whichever the row you go, the value what you find in each attribute, that is each cell. For example, a student SSN is 153 if I take. Okay, so there are some other student roll numbers 153, 154, 156, something like that. Okay, if I am to a tuple 153, and in that tuple that roll number is associated with many values, like 153 has a particular name, his class, his major, many other such things are being added. Okay, so the value of each attribute A must be an atomic value from the domain A. So what is the constraint here? In whichever the tuple we visit, whichever the tuple we consider, whatever the cells we have, like in a particular tuple, 7 columns or 7 attributes you have, means each attribute should hold an atomic value, that is a single value. For example, gender, either female or male. SSN, only one particular number, that is 153. Okay, not two possibilities. name also. Are you all understanding? So class, okay, so 1 2 3 4 5, any of the out of these five numbers, okay, like this. So each value of the attribute a in any tuple, in whichever the cell we consider, it should be a single value. So this is what a implicit constraint. Implicit means what? Something by default, okay, it should be the value in a domain at each tuple should be what? A atomic value, okay. The data types associated with domains typically include standard numeric data types for integers. So if you are asking, or if you want to add a constraint that a roll number should be of a numbered numeric data type. So in numeric data type also we have many other possibilities which we can choose, like the short integer, integer type, long integer, like how we have found in our C++ programming, right? I hope you all are familiar with these data type names, right? So it is possible to add or to choose the data type of these category and real numbers. So real numbers of it could be of which type? Float and double precision float. So like these we can have what choose or add the data type for that particular which one domain. Okay. Characters, booleans, fixed length strings and variable length strings are also available. Okay, so we are familiar with these data types, right? Character type, that is, it should hold only the alphabets, characters. Okay, then booleans, true or false value. Then fixed length string, like if you have fixed, the string has to be how much of 10 size. For example, phone number, it should be how many in length? 10, like that. And variable length strings, like for name we keep something like variable and varchar, right? Variable character, that is the name could be up to 30 characters. So some names could be with some minimum length only. Okay, so some names may be lengthy. Okay, like that, variable length string if you want to have. Okay, and we also have certain data types for date, right? If you are entering date kind of value, you are choosing date data type, time kind of information, and money or any other data types. Okay, so other possible domains may be described by a subrange of values from a data type or as an enumerated data type in which all possible values are explicitly listed. So other than these, beside this, we can also describe certain range of values. For example, I'll tell you now, which is a recall for you all. Like in the student relation, we have a attribute called as class, and while entering the value for the column class, we can either enter 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5, not other numbers other than these 1 to 5, because 1 tells what? Freshers, 2 tells semaphores, right? Are you all remembering? So freshers, semaphore, okay, like the next higher degree. Okay, see, these categories are these uh, class information, that is fresher, semaphore. This lengthy what text is being given as a code. So fresher is given which code? 1. Semaphore is given as 2, like this. Okay, so with in this sub range of values only, it has to we have to choose either one of the class information or value, and we have to enter, right? So other possible domains may be described by a sub range of values from a data type or as an enumerated data type, like as I just now told you. Like week, if you are having column week, so weekday, weekday, let us take, okay, weekday. So which are the days you are supposed to provide the validity? So enumerated data type means which one? Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So these are the only values which you have gathered in that list, and that data type can choose any of these particular values. Okay, so this is about what? Where we are explicitly adding certain restrictions. Okay, then key constraints and constraints on null values. So key constraints, that is, we all are familiar with the term primary key, right? Yes, so now from now onwards we will be finding certain new what features with this key values or key constraints. What are the rules? And constraints on null values. So we can also find certain rules or restriction on null values. I hope you know, remember the null values, right? So the cell where we are unable to enter any value, in which cases when we don't know the value or if the value doesn't exist. Okay, so these are the possibilities. Fine, let us understand what are the constraints related to null values and key values. Okay, so in the formal relational model, a relation is defined as a set of tuples, and we know this, right? So a relation is what actually it is defined in various ways, and it is also defined as mentioned here. It is defined as a set of tuples, it is as a set of rows. Like if you are entering some 100, 200, 500 students information, so it is what, row by row, tuple by tuple, right? So set of tuples. Okay, by definition all elements of a set are distinct. So 200, 500 student information, if we are entering row by row, all these 500 students informations are unique. Yes or no? There won't be any repetition or no matching of information. Okay, so hence all tuples in a relation must also be distinct. So it means what, in a relation, how much ever the rows of data we are filling, all the rows information has to be distinct. It should not be a repetition of information. Are you all understanding? If 500 students have got admitted to a which one course means, so that 500 student information should be what, will be unique. Okay, so none of the students information has to should not be repeated over there. So all tuples in a relation must also be distinct. It should be unique. Okay, so this means that no two tuples can have the same combination of values for all their attributes. For example, if you take yourself and your friend, any of your friend information, so if whatever the information you have given to the college, okay, both are studying in which one, second semester BCA. Both of you are studying in second semester BCA. Do you think that whatever the data which one the college requires of a student, whether both of you have given the exact same data which is totally matched, your roll number will be different, right? While getting admitted or when you are getting the this one admission number, even though if your name is same, at least your which one, first name, the initials may differ, father name, mother name may differ, date of birth also if it is same, gender also is same. Okay, so there are many other attributes which are little bit varying, like your which one, initial, middle name, okay, last name, then address information, contact information, these may be varying, right? So that is what they tell. This means that no tuples can have a same combination of values for all their attributes. So there is no certain cases where the two tuples will hold the same kind of exact duplicate data. Okay, the same kind of information they don't carry. Usually there are other subset of attributes of a relation schema R with the property that no two tuples in any relation state R of relation R should have the same combination of values of these attributes. So in this key constraints, they have a certain subset of attributes which tells the property that no two tuples should hold a similar values. Okay, so what is that? Suppose that we denote one such subset of attribute by sk. So what do you mean by subset of a attribute? Okay, so subset, for example, in a student relation, we have 7 attributes. Yes or no? In a student relation, according to our which one, earlier discussion examples, student relation is having 7 attributes. Till now, we have told that roll number is a primary key. It is a unique one. Roll number is a unique key. For example, along with roll number, if I also consider name, along with roll number attribute, if I also consider name attribute, So it is what? The subset of which one? The attributes. Among the 7 attributes, roll number and name are the subset of that list or that set, right? Yes. So then for any two distinct tuples T1 and T2 in a relation state R of R, we have the constraint that T1 of Sk is not equal to T2 of Sk. It means, let us assume like this. T1 is your information. Let us assume you are a student, you have given certain information in the first row. Student, okay, T1, tuple 1 is your information. You consider tuple 2, T2 is your friend's information, okay. So 7 attributes, remember that. SSN, name, SSN or roll number, okay, name, class, okay, major, contact, like this, the information, okay. sk means what we are telling, it is a subset of attributes. So tuple 1, that is your row, subset of attributes. Sk, let us take subset of attributes in your row, in your tuple 1, in your data, your roll number comma name we shall consider like this. It will not be equal to, it won't be equal to tuple 2. Tuple 2 is of your friend's information. Subset of attributes of your friend is what? Again, roll number comma name. So your friend roll number and name, your roll number and name both doesn't match. Your subset of attributes and your friend subset of attributes will not be equal. Is that clear? So this is one of the constraint. We have a constraint that T1 of Sk is not equal to which one? T2 of Sk. Okay, so if there are multiple tuples, multiple rows, first row information will not be equal to second row information. That is a thing. Now, a super key. Just now I used the term SK, right? It is what actually it is a short form and we refer that as what? Super key. A super key SK specifies a uniqueness constraint that no two distinct tuples in any state R of relation can have the same value for super key. That is, so at any situation, at any point of time, it tells that no two tuples will have a same subset of attributes. A super key specifies a uniqueness constraint, so it features a uniqueness property. Subset of attributes are there, then it will be unique from T1 to T2. Okay. Every relation has at least one default super key, the set of all its attributes. So in any relation you take it, you take which one? Student relation, you take the employee relation, you take department relation, okay, you take course relation. So any relation if we refer, by default they will be having a super key. Okay, so what is that? A super key can have redundant attributes. However, so a more useful concept is that of a key which has no redundancy. So what do you mean by this? A super key can have redundant attributes. Redundant means what? The same kind of copy or the same kind of information. So what is that same kind of information? For example, I am having a SSN 153 and my friend is having a SSN 154. My name is Divyashri and my friend name is also Divyashri. So the gender female, my friend is also female, fine, matched. And class 1, value is 1. My friend class value is also 1. Major, my value is CS and even my friend value is also CS. See, other than roll number, many factors are matching from my information to my friend information. Are you all understanding? So, a super key can have redundant attributes. So, what? The same kind of information. However, so a more useful concept is that of a key which has no redundancy. So, in a super key, it the feature of a super key is what? It is one such attribute where the redundant property is not seen, only the uniqueness feature is observed, where its value has to be unique. Did you all understand? So, a key K of a relation schema R is a super key of R with the additional property that removing any attribute A from K leaves a set of attributes K that is not a super key of R anymore. So they say super key means what? Some subset of attributes, right? So either you remove any of the attributes. I mean, in a set of attribute, if we remove any of the attribute in that set. For example, in the student relation, student roll number, comma name, comma age. What is it? Student roll number, comma name, comma age. So if I remove name, so which one is remaining? Roll number, comma age. If I remove only age, only roll number and name is remaining like this. Or if you remove other two, name as well as age. So if you either remove any of the attribute in that set, the particular attribute doesn't remain as a super key. Are you all understanding? So either you remove one or many attributes in that subset, so that particular which one super key doesn't remain as a super key value. Okay, so this can be made understood in the next example. So hence a key satisfies two properties, that is two distinct tuples in any state of the relation cannot have identical values for all the attributes in the key. So there are very rare cases that two tuples have I mean if among 7 attributes, like almost 6 or almost 5 attributes may be same, similar, there may be rare cases. So many of the times it will be unique. Okay. So two distinct tuples in any state of the relation cannot have identical values of the attributes in the key. And this first property is applies to a super key. So super key means what? A subset of attributes which is following or exhibiting the uniqueness feature. So in such any such two tuples which doesn't have identical values. Okay, so that is exhibiting which one, which property? Super key property. Okay, then it is a minimal super key. So a key is exhibiting one more feature. What is that? Minimal super key. What do we mean by minimal super key? A super key from which we cannot remove any attributes and still have the uniqueness constraint in condition 1 hold. So for example, just now I told in the subset of attributes, if we remove any of the attribute, then that set of attribute doesn't remain as a super key. Are you all understanding? So in any of the super key where we cannot remove any of the attributes, so and by that attribute still exhibit the uniqueness feature, means that is what we mean by a minimal super key what feature or property. Okay, so let us discuss more about this particular example. Consider the student relation of figure 3.1, that is we know the attribute set SSN is a key of a student because no two student tuples can have the same value for SSN. So we understood this. Any student cannot have a similar same student number. Any set of attributes that includes SSN, set of attributes. Observe here students, now we are exactly with the example of a super key. Okay, any set of attributes which is including SSN. For example, just check out here SSN comma name comma age. So in the figure 3.1 means in that student relation we had 7 attributes. Among that 7 attributes, this is a set which is exhibiting only which is including how many attributes? 3. SSN, name comma age. So it is a super key. They are telling they have chosen these 3 attributes and as a subset of attributes, and they are telling that this is a super key. So what is that? How? However, the super key SSN, name, age is not a key of a student. They tell actually the key of a student is SSN, right? Yes. So SSN comma name comma age, all these three together doesn't become a key of a student. All these three together doesn't become a key of a student. SSN name age is not a key of student because removing name or age, see, either you remove name or age or both also from the set, still leaves us with a super key. So either you remove name and retain SSN comma age, or either you remove uh, which one, both name and age, and simply leave SSN. So what happens here, the student, that tuple, with the help of SSN, it is exhibiting what uniqueness property. I mean that student tuple can be recognized what, only with the help of which key value, SSN key value. Are you all understanding? So any set of attributes which includes SSN is a super key. So any set of attributes, any combination of attributes you take among the 7 attributes, any combination of attributes which is where we find SSN in all that set of attributes we are choosing, if SSN is also one among that subset. Okay, so see, however, any set of attributes that include SSN is a super key. So whichever the combination of attributes you choose, and among that set of attributes, if SSN is a which one is included, then of course it becomes a super key. Because understood. So super key will not be a key of a student. Remember, always remember, super key, which is a subset of attribute, doesn't act as a key of a student, because either you remove any of the set of values among that subset, still leaves that which one set with the which one super key attribute. So that is why they tell removing any of the information in that subset makes still unique that particular tuple, or it tells that it is a which one, super key value. It is a super key attribute. Okay, so in general any super key formed from a single attribute is also a key. So it is not that a super key should be always what framed with a set of attributes. There may be cases where a super key can be only one. Even though the certain 7 or 8 attributes exist, only one key is can be called as a super key. Okay, so super key can be formed with only single attribute also. And a key with multiple attributes. A key with multiple attributes must require all its attributes together to have the uniqueness property. So what do we mean by this? So just check out here, SSN name comma age. SSN name comma age. Here it is a multiple attributes of a student, and here all the values of this particular set should be unique. They are telling a key with multiple attributes, any whichever the set we tell as a key attribute, I mean whichever the combination of attributes, if we consider as a key attribute, like combination means like this, more than one, SSN name age, there all the 3 attributes should carry a unique value. Okay, so the value of a key attribute can be used to identify uniquely each tuple in the relation. So we know that why the key attributes are used, so that we can retrieve the data, exact data from the relation. So if roll number is not there, it is difficult to fetch the data. If I search a student record with the name Ramesh, if there are students, more students with the same name Ramesh, then which is the exact record I am fetching? Are you all understanding? There will be it may be displaying all the Ramesh records. Are you all understanding? So it is always better to have a unique attribute or unique key, where with the help of that unique key we can exactly search a particular record. So the value of a key attribute can be used to identify uniquely each tuple in the relation. For example, the SSN value, if this is a SSN value which identifies uniquely the tuple corresponding to a student Benjamin Bayer in the student relation. Okay. So this is about the feature of a super key. Okay students, in my next session I'll discuss a new kind of key constraint, that is candidate key. Okay, so there are many more for such discussions, and let us meet in the next session. Thank you.